Good evening. It is 6 o'clock on Monday, March 27th. I call this meeting of the Clear Creek Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been duly called and that its notice has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The board will move into closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, concerning purposes permitted by the Act, including 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, 551.074, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignments, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against a complaint. And at 6:01, the board will move into closed session. into session at 7:23 p.m. And we will move on to our Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, and I think I have some spelling bee champions. Let's see. Morel and Luke, y'all come on up. Wonderful. You're going to help me with this, okay? All right. Here's in. We'll stand right here and look at those flags. You ready? Okay.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
This time we will have a moment of silence. And please keep the families from the tragedy inside the Covenant School in Nashville in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, and y'all come back up in a few minutes, okay? We're going to honor our spelling bee winners. Thank you so much. All right, we have some wonderful recognitions tonight. First of all, we start with a teacher, which is exciting. Elena Garza, come on up. Yes. We're going to honor you. Elena has been inspiring students for 16 years at Clearbrook High School with her passion for science. She was recently recognized for her hard work and dedication by receiving the first ever Truman T. Bell Extraordinary Service Award. What makes this even more special is it was one of her students that nominated her. Yes, and at this time we're going to see a short video.
Students in Elena Garza's class are challenged to think outside the box.
I think existing in this world, you need to have some view of what science does for humans and for animals and for plants and things. And being able to, understand how things live and what they need and how to provide for others, then that's something that I think is foundation for every student.
For 16 years at Clearbrook High School, Mrs. Garza has become an inspiration to many students. She supports students and the school's science fair, helping them succeed at regional, state, and international science fairs. And she also serves as a sponsor and organizer for the TEDx Clearbrook High School event.
She's been such a supportive mentor and always there for us whenever we needed any guidance or any help. And so I always look up to her and always come to her for support.
Vicki Wynn was a student at Mrs. Garza's last year. She walked alongside Vicki as she prepared to compete in science fair, from district to regional, and finishing in top 10 at state.
She'll listen to you and get your thoughts on the idea and then kind of guide you throughout the whole entire process so that you can fine-tune what you want to research, as well as just helping you navigate any questions you have.
Wynn was so encouraged by Mrs. Garza's efforts, she nominated her for the first ever Truman T. Bell Extraordinary Service Award. It recognizes Texas teachers, sponsors, and advocates of the Texas Science and Engineering Fair who go above and beyond their expected responsibilities. And Mrs. Garza was the first recipient.
It's special when you read about Truman T. Bell and the person that he was and the impact that he had. I feel very, very blessed to be the one that received that first award from him and his family. It's helped me to look back in my life and see my guiding lights and how they've supported me and realize that all of that has had an impact on the journey that I've made and being able to help my students the way I can. I've had a lot of people that have helped me and supported me in ways that many don't have. And so I want to make sure that I can provide that for my students.
Garza's passion is helping her students learn to love science, and it isn't hard to spot that inside her classroom.
The legacy that she has already left on us is, number one, just the growth and the inspiration that she has dedicated to so many students. I think many of us took after her. She's really inspired many of us to pursue our own dreams and our own career choices, whether it's a science fair program, the AP research program, or even TED Talk in the different clubs. Her legacy is definitely there.
I hope that I get them to find their passion and to go out and treat people right and treat the world right and become great citizens and follow their dreams. Whether their dream is in science or not, at least they've gotten that well-rounded view of the world, and hopefully they go out and do good things.
So well deserved. And in her classroom, it's full of kids. It's very full. And you ask them, oh, this is my favorite teacher. She makes things so much fun. And it's hard for us to leave. You go in the class and I don't even want to leave. So well deserved, well deserved. And we're going to take a picture. Okay, so now we turn to the CCISD Livestock Show and Auction. The 41st Annual Clear Creek ISD Livestock Show and Auction raised more than $312,000 for high school students in the FFA program. This is the highest amount raised in program history. That's exciting. And I want to thank, yes, we should clap. I would like to thank the students, parents, and the FFA staff, and especially JT Buford. Is he in the room? Oh, he's going to come in just a minute with all of these kids. That's wonderful, for making this truly a showcase and true success for our students. So we had more than 200 students that participated, and we're going to share with you tonight the top winners. We're going to start with grand champions. And so we'll let them walk in, and as they come in, we'll let everyone stand up here, and then we'll give them a round of applause. Steer and Pig, Addie Shannon from Clear Springs High School. Lamb and Goat, Sophia Dykes from Clear Springs High School. Turkey, Zachary O'Brien from Clear Springs High School. Broilers, Kristen Wiley from Clear Creek High School. Rabbits, Avery Robinson from Clear Springs High School. Ag Mechanics, Caitlin Horacefield from Clearbrook High School. FFA sponsors and principals of these amazing students, please come up here and get your picture with them if you're in the room. Thank you. Just the best auctioneer in the world, Mr. J.T. Buford, too. Y'all know that's true. That's true. Thank you for that reminder. Yes. And I know we have a lot. Just as one of these grand champions. Okay, one of y'all, could you tell me what it takes to be a grand champion winner?
I think being a grand champion comes from your determination and like not quitting, because you will have like go through like sicknesses with your animals and everything. And so as long as you keep persevering through all of that and like work harder, like you can finally like accomplish your goals.
Well said. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Of show. So we'll have our best of show students come on in. All right, floral design, Faith Doza, Clear Falls High School. Visual arts, Gabriela Ruiz, Clear Brook High School. Food science, Reagan Ball from Clear Springs High School. Sponsors and principals, if you're in the room, please come up too. Thank you. Now we have our reserve champions. So we're going to call them up. Well, the following students and sponsors, and here we go. Steer, Madison Cook from Clear Springs High School. Pig, Vanessa Ekstrom from Clear Falls High School. Lamb, Sarah Connor from Clear Springs High School. Goat, Audrey Martin from Clear Falls High School. Turkey, Ashlyn Ludecki from Clear Springs High School. Broilers, Jack Volosky from Clear Falls High School. Rabbits, Rosemary Lynn from Clearbrook High School. Ag Mechanics, Ryan Hall from Clear Falls High School. Principals and sponsors, y'all come on up too. Congratulations. Banner on your wall. Okay, just wondering. Yeah, just curious. That's great. Okay, the livestock show and auction art winners. Clear Creek ISD had 14 talented students whose artwork was chosen as winners in the 2023 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo School Art Program competition. Ranging from elementary to high school, students were selected from the district contest as Best of Show, Gold Medal, or Special Merit winners out of more than 400 total entries. Their work was on display during the rodeo and at Rodeo Art. And raise your hand if you got to see it. Did anybody? Yes. Look at this. Look around. It was amazing. And we had a lot of representation, didn't we? Clear Creek ISD was well represented. It was exciting. Eliza Hoffman from Clear Springs is not able to join us tonight, but I know many of you have seen that amazing painting that she did. Her artwork titled Morning Dove was auctioned for $180,000. So that's a gift. Wow. That's exciting. And it was beautiful. So please join me in congratulating the following artists. And if their sponsors, principals, teachers are in here, please come forward and students will come on in. In the high school division, and these are high school students, earning a gold medal, Hannah Nation from Clear Falls High School, Gabriela Ruiz from Clearbrook High School. Special Merit Awards went to Ashana Makanoja from Clear Falls High School, Miranda Ramos from Clearbrook High School, Georgiana Hayden from Clear Creek High School, Johnny Martinez from Clearbrook High School, Ashlyn Ezell from Clear Falls High School, and Maria Shmija from Clear Falls High School. Congratulations. And come on up, teachers, principals, yes. Jenna Reyes, yes, Jenna Reyes from Clearbrook High School. I didn't say the name. And Emma Moore from Clear Falls High School. Springs. Oh my gosh, how could I do that? Yeah, Emma from Clear. I know, and I've seen her artwork before. I promise you. Quick draw winner Emma Moore from Clear Springs High School. Yes, and I've had an opportunity to have a visit with two. Amazing artwork. Congratulations, and we're going to take a big picture. Take note of these students because you're going to see their artwork. I'm telling you, we've got some amazing talent in this district. All right, so and then I think we are going to do elementary. We had a few intermediate that were not able to be here tonight, but we have a few of our elementary students that are here. So in the elementary division, Darby Perrin from Brookwood Elementary earned Best of Show. And Oliver Clare from Clear Park Elementary earned a gold medal. Principals and teachers, y'all come up.
Okay, right here.
Thank you.
We keep running into these kids at all of their displays, and they're just such talent. It's wonderful. All right. A little more artwork, capital art winners. Our students' talents are being showcased all over Texas. You can see why. We will now recognize those who were selected as the honorees of the 2023 Texas Art Education's Youth Art Month competition. Alina Syed from League City Intermediate and Cassandra Toller from Clear Creek High School had their artworks on exhibit at the Bullock, Texas State History Museum during the month of March. Come on up, and if their teachers and principals are here, please come forward again. I'd also, Mary Goldner, who is an amazing district leader, is Greg Goodman in here? Is he here tonight? Okay, but Miss Goldner is really works with this. Okay.
We get ready. One more. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and finally, our CCISD Spelling Bee winners. Clear Creek ISD crowned Luke Wynn, a sixth grader from Brookside Intermediate. Come on up, Luke. Yes, you can. Congratulations. He was crowned champion on February 11th. Luke won in the 20th round of the competition against 34 other students after correctly spelling the word rictus. Am I right? Do you remember that? Oh, how do you spell that?
RICTUS.
Oh, good. He still remembers. Marella Emalaman, come on up. Come on up. At Green Elementary, congratulations. A fourth grader was runner-up. That is pretty impressive, and we are so proud that they're up here. Principals, district spelling bee coordinators, come on up. Yes, we are so proud to have everybody here. Good, good, good.
Okay, right here. Thank you.
Okay, now before y'all go sit down, this is a pretty big deal. Okay, so tell us how you prepare for spelling bee.
Studying hard and trying not to stress myself out.
Oh, good advice for all of us. Very good.
Well, I also try studying, and in fact, I also use the skills my mom and dad taught me. I also got to practice studying with my mom. And in fact, I got used to all of the words.
Very good. Well, and Luke, I want you to tell us what happened on Saturday.
On Saturday, I was in the regional spelling bee.
And what happened?
I am now on the top. Okay, never mind. I want.
All right, so, and here's the question, Luke, okay? All right, we're gonna stand together on this. So tell me, what was the word that you wanted?
So the last word I spelled was Landau, spelled Landau.
Wow. So now where do you go?
I will go to Washington, D.C. at the end of May and will be in the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
So congratulations. So we are so proud of both of you for doing such amazing, yes, a lot of study, hard work, and don't stress out too much. We're going to remember that. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. And it's always a good day to recognize our folks. Forget spell check. And next, we'll move on to our district update. Dr. Engel.
Okay, thank you, President Cunningham. Well, I'd like to thank the community for expressing their interest in the CCISD Facility Advisory Committee. We had 150 community members, including parents and staff, apply to participate in this process. A random lottery was held last week, and those selected have been notified. The first meeting will be held next Tuesday here at the ESC. We've been celebrating some elite academic superstars this month, 1,767 superintendent scholars. Last week, we recognized our 4-year honorees, and beginning tomorrow, we will visit each high school campus to announce the students who've earned the designation for 2 and 3 years. We did first-year scholars earlier. Students are named a superintendent scholar when they have earned at least a 95 in regular courses and an 85 in advanced courses for both semesters. In my remarks to these high performers, I do reinforce the importance of a well-rounded education, and so many of them are in fact volunteering, performing, and participating in clubs and sports. I would like to update the board on our efforts to improve the learning and working environment in Clear Creek ISD. In the fall, we visited every campus and support facility to ask 3 key questions. What are we doing well? What do we need to focus on? And what do we need to stop doing? We made substantive changes based on that employee feedback. Now we're going back to close out the school year to see if our changes are making an impact. And here they are already, as well as what other issues do our employees think we need to address. We also want the larger community's feedback on the work we're doing. In a few weeks, we will be sending out a parent and community survey to get their perceptions on the quality of education, safety, and areas that need our attention. I know today we're overwhelmed with emails and surveys and polls, but I do hope you take the time to complete the one form from Clear Creek ISD. This will help inform next year's community-based accountability report as well. And I'd like to close my district update with a special thank you to our faith-based partners across CCISD. Each campus has a faith partner to help provide snacks and other items for children in need. I would like to highlight that Clear Springs High School seniors will be doing some beautification work to homes of seniors in partnership with Bay Area Church next month, and Clear Creek High School seniors with Clear Creek Community Church. We're so proud of these students and their work and their volunteer efforts. Thank you.
All right. And thank you, Dr. Engel, for that district update. Next, we'll move on to item 8, community input, but there is no community input tonight, so we will move to item 9, our action on closed session item. Do I have a motion for item A?
Mr. President,
Mr. Cottrell?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation of Sandy Varner as president of Gilmore Elementary. Principal. Sandy Varner as principal of Gilmore Elementary. Yeah,
Fantastic.
president, principal. She runs it.
We're so excited. And do I have a second?
You have a second.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Seeing no further comment, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, and that motion carries unanimously. Next, we will move on to our consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull anything?
Mr. President, I'd like to pull item number 9.
Item number 9. Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Anyone else? Seeing no one wishing to pull anything, I'll call for a motion. Yes?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented minus item number 9.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cottrell. Seeing no further comment, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. And Mr. Bowen, start us off on item 9, please.
Sure, and this is the approval of contract 2021-500, which is the elementary online math instructional resource. So this is Dreambox. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about it. I read through the materials that were provided. I still don't have a great understanding for exactly what kind of data we get from Dreambox. And the other concern I have is how that data is protected. So from speaking to Trustee Larson, who, and I don't want to speak for him, but he attended, I believe, some better explanatory sessions on this. I kind of have an idea of what the program does and sort of what we're hoping to get from this upgrade. But I think my big question is, for starters, is the data that is collected from this program, does Dreambox own that data? Like, does it leave our district and go to them? Or is it basically secured with us and Dreambox doesn't actually have access to it?
Okay, thanks for the questions, and we will try to answer those. They may be a little technical for us, but we'll do our best. This is Rachel Powell, and she's, as many of you know, but she's our elementary math coordinator. Do you want to talk a little bit about the data?
Dreambox and Clear Creek ISD have a data sharing. So we have the data on all of our students, but it does go through the Dreambox company and is protected by our technology department.
Dustin would like to assist
Yeah.
us.
So Dreambox is a cloud-based software, which the mass majority of all software is owned by school districts is now. So all the work that's done on there is done in probably either Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure Cloud. We have a data sharing agreement with them. Their privacy policy is airtight. California in particular years ago passed some very unique laws with data sharing. So for most these educational applications, they have to abide by very unique data sharing agreements for that. On their website, they list the information they collect. It's not a lot, some basic information, but they do not, as it directly says, it does not collect personal information directly from students, just what we have to send them for the rostering and for the teachers to be able to log in, the students to be able to log in. But they have a very tight cybersecurity agreement themselves. But to answer your question, they do have our data. They don't have access to access it without our permission, but it is hosted within their cloud.
And how long is it before it's deleted by them? I mean, after a student ages out of Dreambox, which I assume occurs in the 5th grade, right?
Yes, sir.
So when does Dreambox delete their data?
I will have to get back to you on that and see. Usually they keep it for quite some time, and as long as we're paying them, it's within their ecosystem that we own. If we were to end the agreement with them, all of our data would be purged from their system. But I believe as long as it's in there, keeping some historical data, because we could, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, they offer Dreambox up to at least 8th grade now. So if we were to purchase it later on, they would want that residual data from elementary to continue up to those grade levels. So that they keep, as long as we're paying them, they keep it. When they, after we stop paying them, they purge everything.
Okay. And then I think I'd also kind of like some information just on how this software is used in order to customize student education, because I know that's a big part of it, right? Can you kind of talk through what that looks like maybe for the typical student?
The typical student enters the program, and within the first 3 to 6 weeks, the program is watching the math that they answer correctly, the math that they answer incorrectly, how many times they moved their mouse around the screen, how long they waited when the question came up for when they answered the question. So all of this is happening in the background of their engine, and it's looking for their just right place. We are currently piloting something called the Launchpad, which at the beginning of each school year, the child will have a brief up to 45-minute assessment to reset if they've lost over the summer, if their grandmother decided the game was really fun and she played, which probably has never happened in Clear Creek ISD, but it has. And then each year, the program is now building itself to reset to where the student says they are each fall. And at this moment, they're building in the growth material to be watching kids day by day. Their growth up to this point, they'd only been watching for monthly growth. Now a teacher could look at a student on Monday and find out how much they did between Monday and Tuesday, which it pinpoints down more and more to Scott doesn't get to say he played, because children would never do that either. And the teacher can actually look in and say, Scott really did play the game he said he played. Okay, bring me back to your question so I don't drift.
Yeah, so I guess that is a massive amount of information that the program is constantly collecting on how the students are interacting
Yes.
With the math problems put in front of them.
Yes.
But how is that used to actually change what is being taught to that student by the teacher?
Okay, so this is personalized practice for a time in the day that a teacher is pulling small groups herself and cannot necessarily assist children. And Dreambox is an excellent program for, it's watching you, it's talking to you. Stella is giving you hints and suggestions and supporting you as you struggle. If you struggle without the teacher, the engine is going to push you back. If you miss a question often enough, which we have had some children figure out that they could miss enough, and they ended back in some content that was too easy for them. Because we get the report on that, a teacher could find the child had slid into content that was too easy for them and come back. We have first graders working in fourth grade content because it's best for them. We have fifth graders working in second grade content because it's where they are in the program. The best thing about the program is the personalization. None of the 8 of you would be playing the same game at the same time because you're not him and you're not her and she's not you. And that ability, I was a master teacher and I could not have done that for my learners. I could not have had first graders in the room and figure out how to give them fourth grade math on their own to tinker with. The best thing about Dreambox is you tinker. You go in and you try to figure out what's going on. It's not about being taught the concept, but it's about being allowed to tinker in it. And we are excited to see that the data currently is matching our in-district data. And we hope long-term that it will match state data. But we are seeing the parallel. So the time of day that this is for when you're not with your teacher. It's the next best thing is a tutor, a program that works you through. And if you don't get it right, the other day I pulled up a game to figure out what was going on for a student. And it told me exactly what I did wrong, showed it to me, gave me a new problem, and asked me to try it again. Didn't do it again. I intentionally missed it. And it helped me wait, you need to think about this. So although I say it's tinkering and discovering, it's also teaching.
Okay, yeah, that's a great explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And so I guess a motion hasn't been made on this, so I'll go ahead and let someone do that. But afterward, I think I would like to postpone this until the workshop so that we could get more information, because we do have a little bit of time on this one. Based on my reading of the agenda item, the contract doesn't expire until June 30th. So there's a little bit more time for us to get more information about this. But I think that's something I would like to do, especially so that we can get that data sharing agreement and look over it, because I think that is really important with the era we're going into. So anyway, once someone makes a motion, I'll make that motion.
Is there, with that being said, is there anything in, delaying the extension of the contract?
I think we'd be okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, then I will call for a motion.
Mr. President.
Mr. Sanchez?
Mr. President, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the renewal of contract 2021.500 elementary online math instructional resource to Dreambox Learning for a 3-year contract term beginning July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2026 for an estimated contract value of $700,000.
And thank you for that motion, Mr. Sanchez. I'll call for a second.
Second.
And thank you for that second, Ms. Cheka. And
Yes, Mr. President, I move to postpone this agenda item until the April workshop. I don't have that date in front of me, but.
I'll second that.
And thank you for that second, Mr. Larson. So we'll vote on that first to postpone until our April board meeting. All in favor, please raise your right hand.
Mr. President, this is a debatable motion, so I'd like to speak to it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just say really fast, I think this is the direction that education is moving. I really like the promise of this program and programs like it. I think there are just a couple of due diligence items that we need to look over. And I mean, what we are really voting on here is we are not just voting on a contract or a contract extension. That's something we do as a matter of doing business all the time. I think what we are voting on here in reality is we are committing to a path and direction for our elementary math program. And I want to go into that very clear-eyed as much as we possibly can and make sure that we've done everything we need to do to make sure it is safe and secure, and also that it is going to be beneficial for the students. And so I think there is a lot of promise here. Programs like this are what education is going to look like going into the future, I'm sure. But I just don't think we have all of the information we need to approve moving forward with this. I think waiting 2 weeks is perfectly fine.
Can you explain the safety aspect? Because we've heard from Mr. Harden on that.
Yeah, I want to actually see the data sharing agreement.
Okay. Mr. Larson, did you have anything to add?
No, other than, yeah, I think these are all valid concerns. I think this is a bigger decision than just $700,000. And I don't think it hurts anything for us all to have a good in-depth look at this. You know, we've gotten some great information tonight. I think we can get even better information in a couple of weeks, and I think we would all benefit from that.
Mr. President,
Mr. Sanchez?
if I could ask, in our process for considering vendors and contracts, items that Mr. Bowen is asking about are elements that we would ultimately consider about the integrity of the organization and the vendor that's providing services and how they match the district's requirements around safety and security of student data and information. Is that
correct.
a fair statement?
When items are brought to the instructional materials and technology allotment committee, there is a process. We talk about the technology piece, and that's actually sent to our technology department so they can do that research, because that isn't our area of expertise, as well as our professional learning, what's going to be required for teachers to actually be able to do, and many other things. But yes, that is sent to our technology for review and to make sure it aligns privacy and that type of thing.
Can you remind us the number of years that we've been using Dreambox in the district?
We used it for 1 year for kindergarten through second. Then we've had 2 3-year cycles with K through 5. So we are finishing year 7 or year 6 in the 3-year packages.
Okay. And have we had any issues or concerns or breaches as far as data is concerned that we're aware of?
No, sir, no, sir.
Do we know of any that Dreambox has had as a vendor?
No, they have not had any. They're used by so many people. The ones who have been hit as far as from the vendor side, it's very public usually. I think the last one was one that Round Rock ISD used for a while, and their parents and constituents became aware of that breach very, very quickly. So Dreambox, to our knowledge, has not been. But like I said, typically we're informed, or in the case of some other vendors, the parents are informed before us, but there has been no knowledge of them being breached.
Okay. And then I think just an additional question around how we've used Dreambox as a district. I think just making sure we're clear, it is intended to be more of a supplement and an enhancement to more personalized and individualized learning in a classroom where otherwise students may be performing at slightly different levels, have different levels of mastery around a specific subject area or content area, and how they progress. Dreambox is able to match them step by step to understand whether they really know that. And so it's not intended to be future instruction, is that right? I mean, to where we would just say, just go do Dreambox and that's going to be how you learn for the rest of the year.
No, I recently sat down and figured out what percentage of a day it's even supposed to be of a child, and over 80% of the day is a teacher's responsibility. This is a supplement. This uplifts, strengthens, bolsters, and is filling gaps during this time period where we have children with major gaps due to COVID.
Thank you.
So I think I do have a few more comments then, because I've gotten to see this in action. And, you know, that what we just heard is a true statement. I'm not going to argue with that one bit. But I would say that after observing this in action, I don't really believe that it's possible to do personalized learning at the level we want to do it at without extensive software support for the teachers. It's literally a matter of manpower and time in the day and how many children do we assign to a teacher. This teacher simply cannot one-on-one tutor all the kids in their class. This software allows the teacher to target her time effectively with the students that need it the most. It's essential if we're going to really commit 100% to personalized learning.
Thank you for that comment.
Yeah,
Mr.
and
Cohen?
I mean, I'll just jump in really fast to say I'm sold on the promise of this program and what it can do in classrooms. I just want to see the data sharing agreement. We don't approve contracts without looking at the contracts and reading them. We're not attorneys. We don't have the ability to tell what every single legal aspect of every single contract we get is, but we can look over them and make sure that some key elements are addressed. And I think in the era we're in, I mean, we've seen all of the attention around security concerns with social media, especially TikTok. I'm not saying this is like that, but data sharing and data security is more and more important. And parents are concerned that programs like this that collect a lot of information about what students are doing, how students behave, how students interact with their software and learn, and all of that information is attached to their name and identifying information. That is extremely valuable data, and if Dreambox is just keeping it, maybe it's fine now, but 5, 10, 20 years down the road, we don't know. And so I just want to see our data sharing agreement to make sure that we have all our boxes checked and that what we're entering into is agreeable. We have a data and security overview that is part of Dreambox's marketing documents, but I want to see the actual agreement that has been signed by them and us to keep it safe. And I know this is already being run, but what we're looking at here is an upgrade. It's even more, and this is probably due diligence that we should have done along the way as a board. And so now is our time to get our chance to get that information. So I just do not see the harm in waiting 2 weeks to look at it. So that's what we're voting on now.
So I'll ask Mr. Harden, can you repeat what our current agreement in terms of data sharing with Dreambox is? And does that change with, you know, this addendum of the contract, this?
I'm not sure if it changes 100%. I'll have to dive into what was signed before and what we have now. I know Greg and the purchasing department also have some language that is within our normal contracts with every software company that they have to sign, that they agree to some things. We'll review that. What's unique about Dreambox is that they directly say they will destroy customer supplied data as well as any other customer identified data upon request. So the second we say destroy it, it's gone. And I will say not every company abides by that, but the amount of state laws and U.S. laws that Dreambox agrees to is every single one. There's even some Texas legislation that Dreambox agrees to with data sharing and data privacy in mind. It's pretty airtight that what we agree to and what their promise is on top of that. But we'll get back to you with all that information.
And I see Mr. Cruthertz, and I know you didn't mean to be a part of this presentation, but could you speak on when we do go out for a request for, you know, purchase on any type of data, what some of that language looks like in our contracts that might be specific to CCISD? I know I'm putting you on the spot and you didn't probably plan on.
In this case, we're going through an interlocal contract, so this has also been vetted by another organization as well. But as far as me getting into the legalese, like Mr. Bowen mentioned, I can't necessarily read every privacy agreement from a software company and make sure that there's no pitfalls in there. But I do know that Dreambox being such a large and well-used software across the entire nation has gone through this vetting process with HIPAA and FERPA and all those other things that they have to be able to meet for us to even have an opportunity to contract with them. So we also do have in our process, whenever we have any kind of software, that we have technology involved as well, so they can check that on their back end side. But it's not, from a practical standpoint, we're not able to go to the attorneys every single time we sign one of these type of agreements. We have some overall language that we state they have to meet these different HIPAA, FERPA, those type of student records documentation, as opposed to going into specific details about every piece of data that they may have collected or not. We don't have that capability, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. And so we will first vote on Mr. Bowen's motion to postpone for 2 weeks. All in favor, and please raise your hand. And all opposed? So that motion did not carry. And then we'll move on to Mr. Sanchez's motion to approve the contract for elementary online math instructional resource. All in favor?
Mr. President, no, we're still in debate. Okay. All I wanted was the data sharing agreement. I don't understand why we have to move into a vote on this without at least being able to look at it. What is the rush here? I have said I'm not going to vote for it until I'm able to read it. And so it would be as simple as waiting 2 weeks. I don't understand what the rush is to pass this without us all being able to look at it. I mean, it's very frustrating to me. Everyone we asked in the crowd, in the administration, even said that waiting 2 weeks wouldn't be a problem at all. So, I feel like I'm getting a little upset, and I don't mean to, but this would be such an easy thing to do. Just wait 2 weeks before we vote. Can someone please explain to me what the rush is to get this voted on now? Nobody argued against the motion to postpone. Nobody debated. You just voted it down. And can someone please give me a reason why?
I think through Mr. Sanchez's questions, that satisfied me in my questions that I had. I was satisfied by what I heard. So I'm not understanding what us reading the language, what we're going to do or we're going to revise in terms of that language.
I mean, are we trying to build consensus as a board and move forward on things when we're all comfortable with them? Or are we just going to try and pass things through on 4-2, 4-3 votes? I mean, sure, you're satisfied. I'm not satisfied with it yet. And so as an act of good faith, I would think that you would want to wait until everyone on the board can be satisfied if it's such a simple issue. I just don't understand the rush here. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Ms. Checa?
I guess my question would be, are you going to have an attorney, like, because we've said we're not attorneys. You know, they have looked at it and said from their standpoint, they feel like it's a solid contract. They feel like there have been no breaches. Like, are you going to have someone else look at it at that point? Because if I read it, it would look okay. I wouldn't know what to look for other than what they've already looked for.
That you would read it. I mean, we get 300 pages every meeting of contracts to read through. And we're not expected to be experts on those contracts, but we look at them anyway because we're voting for them on behalf of the taxpayers and we're signing them. And so this is a piece of information that maybe we don't have the precise technical qualifications to look at, but we can at least see it. We can at least be satisfied with it. We can look for red flags and move forward with due diligence. And I just don't understand why we wouldn't do that. It doesn't make sense to me. what is the rush?
So I hear you say due diligence, but as Ms. Cheka said, and as I was trying to explain to you, what are we looking for that they have
I
not?
don't know. I haven't seen it. I mean, I can't.
Anybody else wish to make a comment?
I think the vote's already been done, right?
It hadn't been done, we're still debating.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's.
I don't think, okay, and here's my 2 cents on it, is that we've had everybody from the district go ahead and chime in that it's a system that's well worth the investment for us to continue moving forward with. I don't know that even what, you're going to find through all the reading and everything may change that on your faith on the program and, our children and the taxpayers, funding it as well. I don't know that that's really going to change anything. So my vote is because I know it's a program that works. I know it's a program I want my kids to continue using, and I've heard from all the experts in the room say it's a great program. I'm confident with that.
Mr. Sanchez, you have any comment? Okay. Mr. Larson?
It's just that, first of all, I wanted to say that if I was a committee of one and could form a quorum by myself, I feel like I understand this well enough to vote for it. But where I'm not a committee of one, I'm part of a committee of 7 here. And what I'm hearing is a lot of, trust me, it's got to be good. And yeah, everybody has weighed in with their expertise, and we've got some real experts here. But the expertise doesn't cover the area where Trustee Bowen has a question. And we've also heard that it doesn't hurt anything to wait for 2 weeks. To me, functioning as a member of a committee of 7, it's worth it to me just to maintain goodwill on the board, just to allow everybody to satisfy themselves. Now, if this was a deal where we would have some kind of problem, maybe the price would change if we delayed or something like that, I'd probably have a different opinion. But I don't see the harm either in just allowing, any trustee to take a closer look at something like this when there's no time pressure put on it.
Would it be okay to provide that information in a Friday packet?
Would that be after we vote on it? I mean, yes, that's how I anticipate it's going to be provided, but that would be on Friday, and we're voting now.
So I guess my question then is, when the Friday packet came out and you saw this, because we have the opportunity to email in questions, was it not appropriate at that time to ask, say, hey, I want a copy of the agreement?
I mean, sure, I could have, but I have not seen it now, so I would like to see it.
Asking questions about the Friday packet is something that we all should do in a timely fashion, just as a courtesy to the administration and to help the business of the district move along a little quicker. But there's always going to be situations where we're sitting here, we get to Monday, we think we've thought this through, we've read through the packet, we think we know where we're at, and all of a sudden we have an idea, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think about this. And so I see where it's perfectly legitimate to have reservations even at the last minute, even though if we'd have all had perfect knowledge, we could have asked a question on Friday or Saturday or Monday.
I mean, yeah, I did not even know that a data sharing agreement existed until it was mentioned. And so I did not know that we had an agreement like that. I thought it was even more vague than that, and I probably would have had more objections to it. Having a data sharing agreement solves the issue, as long as I can see what's in it. So I might have had greater objections to it if I didn't know that that existed, but now that I know it does, this is easily solved. And there's no time pressure on it at all. I just want to see it. That doesn't seem like too much to ask. And it's just bizarre to me that that is a problem.
Well, we've already made the vote on your motion. That did not carry 2-4. So now we're on to the original motion. So any further comment? Seeing no further comment, I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. And all opposed? So that motion carried 4-2. I would still request that we get that information in our Friday packet. And Mr. Kuthert, if you could also provide some information on what type of language appears in our data sharing, so we have that for future reference.
Thank you. Thank you.
And next, we'll move on to item B.
Okay. All right, we've got a short presentation. I know you've heard this previously, so we've just tried to take information again and summarize it. And I'm excited to share a brief summary of months of work focused on students. And we began looking at our current fifth graders who are in the graduating class of 2030. The needs of these and all students have really driven our work. This led to the first, and in my opinion, the foundation of Vision 2030, which is the profile of CCISD learners. And students, teachers, parents, a business community provided input, and it was gathered to outline our vision for the attributes that all learners need to develop in our school districts, students and adults. So this profile of learners is for all of us. The ability to critically think, and you can look at that, create, collaborate, and contribute, communicate, and connect with confidence and compassion are necessary to ensure our students are ready for their future. Not our future. Last week, I attended a Bay Area Houston Economic Education and Workforce Development panel discussion, and it had an aerospace sector senior leaders. When asked what skills do new employees need, one executive said power skills, and then went on to define these skills as critical thinking, communication, leadership, confidence, and the ability to contribute to the community. These are part of our CCISD profile of learners and continue to validate this truly important work. The names of people that are on the committee, you've seen that before: students, teachers, parents, district staff, and business leaders and board members. Everything I'm sharing with you this evening was a result of this team's hard work. And I want to, even in our audience, I would like to thank one of our students, Tobin Wood, who was also on the committee. And yes, it was a collaborative of everyone. So thank you for that, Tobin. As we kind of culminated, we consolidated these ideas into three big categories, if you will: instruction, culture, and learning systems. And I will kind of briefly go through those. First of all, the 4 vision summary statements are right here, and then we'll follow up with some more discussion on that. But really, Clear Creek ISD will offer pre-kindergarten to all district families in search of quality early education. Clear Creek ISD will be a Leader in Me district. All intermediate schools will be nationally recognized as centers of innovation, creation, and collaboration. And all graduates will be creators, critical thinkers, collaborators, contributors, communicators, connectors, compassionate, and confident. We fondly call those the 8 C's now, if you will. You can see, moving through that. So looking at these recommendations, as we go through superintendent's recommendations, and I'll kind of focus in on that pre-kindergarten first, if you will, a tuition-based pre-kindergarten expansion plan, and that's what we're working on now. And would like for you to consider, so that we can be competitive in the early education field, attracting families who may have decided to choose homeschool, private, or charter school programs due to the lack of early options in their those 4-year-old learners. We'd like to conduct a market study to ensure the pre-kindergarten expansion is financially viable for both families and the district. And an idea that we're excited about is create an employee benefit plan so that employees who would like for their pre-kindergartners to go to this program would have a priority and a consideration of a price reduction to keep our employees. It's another thing for our employees, and seek legislative support to fund pre-kindergarten for each 4-year-old in Texas. And I know that that's part of our Galveston County Consortium priorities. Also, just to mention, recently Senate Bill 38 was proposed to provide full-day pre-K for 4-year-olds. So these are things that are happening right now in the 88th legislative session. Moving on. Okay, so and that thinking about the culture piece that we talked about, as we had these meetings and discussed the need for a district-wide system to scale the successful elements of the Leader in Me program so that all students by 5th grade know and exhibit the 7 habits of highly effective learners. This is something that we have been discussing. Increase community partnerships to fund elements of the program, yet leverage existing district personnel and resources for long-term viability. How can we make this financially the most cost-effective in our cost benefit, and ensure that culture is created through the Leader in Me program that extends beyond elementary school and into intermediate school through a new course for all 6th grade students to further support executive functioning skills. I did want to just mention one thing. I just wrote down a few things. The program Leader in Me was piloted at Falcon Pass. We now have it in 10 Leader in Me schools. But talking about that community partnership, we have had Clear Creek Education Foundation, Space Center Rotary, PTAs, Houston Methodist, Clear Lake Hospital. We've had the City of Webster, both Rotary and city donations, Rotary Club of Seabrook, Rotary of Nassau Bay, City of Clear Lake Shores, and City of Kemah have all provided financial support for this Leader in Me program. And we are grateful for that, and we would like to continue and even expand that as part of our goals. And I'll just elaborate just a tiny bit on the 6th grade course. These executive functioning skills such as goal setting, prioritizing, collaborating, and problem solving align with the profile of the learner. And we would talk to all 6th graders, incoming 6th graders, as part of a preparation into secondary school and extending their elementary learning and the support that they've had in those skills. And then finally, looking at, well, not finally, but this is a big piece, redesigning intermediate school learning systems from scheduling and curriculum offerings to physical space and technology, so that the profile of a CCISD learner is the focal point of a child's learning experience, and that student will have the opportunity to pursue their passions and interests. We'll continue to move forward with that. Recommend to develop facility modification proposals through the Facility Advisory Committee to support the physical creation of innovative centers at all 10 intermediate schools, and or 4 schools of innovation for the Facility Advisory Committee to consider. And that would be part of their charges. They're working here in the next few months. The cost, instructional redesign, timing, and other capital improvement priorities may limit the ability to impact all 10 intermediate schools, and if so, a long-term facility plan could be created. And we would like to expand career exploration in this line of looking at elevating the intermediate experience for all students, expand career exploration and interest-based offerings for students in grades 6 through 8, so that exposure to and understanding of high school career and technical education programs are developed before grade 9, and leveraging community partnerships, mentorships, and real-world experiences to support this. And the Vision 2030 team, and I know many of you were a part of that, saw great opportunities at the intermediate level to elevate that experience. It kind of zoned in on that. And something I did want to mention, over the last 3 years, the biggest drop in enrollment has been at the intermediate. We are looking at data, grades 6 through 8. We have 447 declines. So you can see this data-driven conversations. We talked about it as a visionary conversation, but also there is some data to support that. Then just a few other slides. This is just some pictures for you to look at. All of our libraries currently have opportunities for innovation in the makerspace, and we saw that program evaluation, an excellent job here at the last meeting, the last workshop. But we would like to elevate that for all of the campuses. I know you probably have been in some of these elementary facilities that have been recently renovated, and they're amazing spaces, and kind of replicate that and let the Facility Advisory Committee to review facility needs and opportunities to create those centers of innovation, and including common spaces, you know, some big ideas that they can come to us with. Innovative school, whole school concept. We talked about the possibility of 4 schools having extended opportunities for innovation, and additional remodeling and redesign would be required, and the Facility Advisory Committee can get the board what that pricing would be and what that might look like, and really look at scheduling, curriculum, physical space, and technology, which really somewhat aligns, if you think about the pieces of that, to eSTEM. Like we have our eSTEM schools, they're school-wide, or even RCC. We have our RCC schools, that curriculum is embedded throughout the campus, and we, you know, put a little bit extra monies and an extra focus on RCC. And I think you can look at a few of those pictures, and I think all of us have seen those, and we continue to get out and look at those opportunities for students. So it would just be more of a school-wide theme. Some ideas, and we are just dreaming, so this is not a part of this recommendation. We're just looking to move forward and to consider ideas. Possibly a Space Center Intermediate is located on Johnson's Space Center property. Could we make that a connection to NASA? Some more innovative ideas, some curriculum tied to space exploration. So those are just some ideas we've thought about. We have some schools that are very close to the health science areas. We have different opportunities. So that is not at all defined, but there's vision and possibility in that as we move forward. So, and then finally, looking at effective instructional strategies at all levels so that students can set, achieve, and reflect on their personalized learning goals, move through their education based on a flexible path pace, and have opportunities to be creative and collaborative with others. And we've seen that goal setting, that collaboration, how important that is. Everybody is kind of sharing that information with us, and maintain momentum in developing high school career and technical education programs to meet the future needs. What does industry say we need? We have had a lot of conversation on this Economic Development Committee, the Workforce Task Committee at the BAHAB, about what are our college partners, what can they bring to the table, what can we do? So really working at some of that collaboration and working on that. And that is really the presentation. I wanted to share one thing as I was going through, and as of course we look at this. our current strategic plan and just the alignment. We spent some time on that at the LSC, with another meeting with lots of conversation. But our current strategic plan says we will design and implement learning experiences that inspire student achievement, agency, and growth. That is exactly what we're looking at. It's just continuing that plan and further developing it and defining that, expanding learning opportunities to foster growth in each learner, consistent student goal-setting systems to increase reflection and ownership of learning. That is absolutely embedded in Leader and Me and our ideas for to facilitate our instructional framework and learning opportunities to ensure each student achieves at high learning levels. So we're just continuing what we've been doing, better define that, and really going back to our original conversations and letting our vision and our program and our vision for our students drive facilities and what that needs to look like. So that is a brief summary. I know we've had a lot of conversation on it. You have a summary of it, a hard copy right in front of you. So we would just open that up for questions, and we have many experts in the room, including our students. So we are open to questions. Yes, he didn't know that, but yes. So anyway. Yes, he loves to be on the spot. It's all good.
And I've seen him present. He can handle his own. I just wanted to take a moment and go back to the community partners, that slide that has the names of everybody who participated. I wanted to recognize them for their time. I wanted once again to thank Mr. Sanchez for securing, along with Ms. Polson, securing NASA for us. Also wanted to thank Mr. Bowen, and Tobin's in the audience, but some of the other student leaders that met with us that day. Some good ideas were bandied about, and that's where, the exploration, the thought, the innovation as we look to 2030. So I just want to acknowledge those folks because, they've kind of been with us since day one, and it's kind of exciting to see the potential and see, where we're going. So thank you to that group, and not so much a question, it was just a comment. So, and then I'll open it up for any comments.
I guess I'll just say it was, I really appreciated the opportunity to be part of this development process. I think this is a very good plan, and I think the goals that it sets forth are achievable and precise, and 3-5 years from now, we can look back and see whether we actually accomplished everything we planned to. And so I think that's kind of the hallmark of good planning, is having an idea of where we're going and then building the pathway to get there. And I think this document achieves that. The only thing I want to make sure of is that when it says under intermediate schools, the 4 schools of innovation and/or the 10 innovation centers, are we looking at that as kind of an either-or that'll be up to the facilities committee, or are we really planning to do both and it's just a question of implementation?
And that's a great question. Really, we'd like for the facility advisory committee to look at both and bring those back to the board, because that would involve pricing and, let's look at both options. And that is part of the charges, is to kind of look at whatever the Vision 2030 document says. So they could look at both. And then it's up to the board. And then they would make a recommendation to the board, let's just go with the 10, or let's go with all of the above. And then the board would have that final say.
I think based on, and I just wanted to hop in, based on feedback from the workshop, I think the committee went back and took a look and decided to be able to provide options, since that seemed like that's what was being asked, which I agree with.
Yeah, because I kind of think of both of those concepts. I mean, maybe there are some architectural changes that'll be needed. that there are obviously changes that could be made at any school, but I think both of those concepts are more about how we're using the space we have. And so I don't see why facilities would be a major obstacle to either of them. I mean, maybe there are small changes that would need to be made, but it seems more about the management and culture of the school in both cases. And we've been able to make the maker spaces happen without having dramatic bond projects behind them. I mean, we've just taken better advantage of the space we have. And I think I would not want us to go directly to rebuilding the schools around these ideas without first taking a look at what we can achieve in both areas without a massive bond project.
And then going back to, I think, slide 10, I don't know if we can pull that up. There are some, kind of showed some pictures of, there are some facilities you could require, like, or it's an option to have some larger, maybe a larger space where you could have more of these activities going on. I know, I'm just gonna say, in the Eastham, we have some classrooms where you can go, and they have the rotation of the elementary schools and all of that. So possibly something on a little bit on that level, but we'll let facility advisory, you're right. I mean, I do think that's why it's an and or, and it may be all of the above. And as they go into that, this is just the proposal to investigate and to come back to the board with options.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Did have a couple
Mr.
questions.
Sanchez?
Dr. Engel, on one of the slides for your recommendations, it references Leader in Me in a couple of places. And I know in our discussion, we talked about some of the barriers to cost for that. And I know there was some additional discussion around what flexibility we might be able to leverage as a district, given our experience in recognizing what things may be effective within the district that take elements of that. Is that still something we're thinking of, or?
Yes, and,
Okay.
yes, and,
Okay.
So thank you for asking that, and really, we have looked at, there's some pricing challenges with Leader in Me with every school, and looking at taking those, concepts, and Ms. Hughes has actually some numbers, am I right? Yes, thank you. Well, we're prepared to share a little bit of, it's hard to get all of the numbers accurate. She's been working on it, but wanted to share a little bit of idea. We are proposing a type of Leader in Me district, and then, like you said, even moving on from that, but not, well, go ahead.
Right, no,
I'm an expert.
Dr. Engel, you're exactly right, and Mr. Sanchez, and I know Mr. Bowen also brought this up in our last workshop. The idea was appealing that we would start that transition from a contracted service of having someone else come in and lead that to creating our own capacity to deliver that in an ongoing basis. And so definitely looking at, we'll work with Mr. Cruthers for a change of contract, and so they'll need to come back to the board. But the idea is really taking Leader in Me and bringing it in-house with a staff member to support this transition, provide that coaching in-house as we develop the 7 Habit framework and these pieces that we want to see. We talked about last time having that soft skills and the culture pieces out to every campus, so that we see that in the elementaries, that we see that as a consistent base, and then have that built up into the intermediate and high schools. So just looking, if we were to continue on with this year that we currently are in, it would be almost half of the cost and the contracted cost by bringing it in. There will be a staff member personnel cost that we'll have to look at coming back to you in the budget, and Ms. Benzai is on that with me. And also to you to make that decision. So there, and I think, Mr. Bowen, if I'm not mistaken, I think you spoke even at our last workshop that there would be a kind of an arc to pay to as we build and build out for our own program for our own district. So that peak would come as we gain all of our coaching knowledge and gain all of our processes and build forward. So to your point, Mr. Sanchez, I think there's some real cost savings over time. It's just going to take a little bit of a push here to get going.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And then I just had one additional question on the tuition-based pre-kindergarten expansion. Based on what we know today, what our maximum capacity would be to offer something like that based on our physical space? Do we have a sense of what that number would be?
We are gonna go back to Ms. Hughes. I know. We are going back to Ms. Hughes for that expert,
We'll be looking at some shifts in this process. One, definitely looking at we talked about raising our rates just a bit to make it more of a based on market study, but also increasing one full site for at a campus for a tuition-based program that will add one teacher to truly pilot that. And so that will instantly raise 20 slots. We're estimating that we could have, we currently now have almost 100, close to, we've teetered over the year between 90 to almost 100 students. This would increase it easily by that. And I think our process could, just knowing earlier that we're going to commit to this, allow for additional seats. Pre-K is really a fun wave to predict coming into our school district every year, but we know the demand for the tuition based is really high, so we would place the program based on that high demand, and the early offering will also increase the seat allocations. So based on our projections, it's almost doubling the amount that we're bringing in. Of course, there's a cost to providing the certified staff to implement it, but definitely an increase in slots. So the capacity, I could easily say that we would be gaining by 20, but over what we're currently serving, but I think that's still a very low estimate based on what might be able to be offered. And I know also Ms. Polson will help us communicate and get that message out early. So we've identified our barriers, we've identified the process, and so that will help us.
Mrs. Hughes, remind me again how many current pre-K kiddos we have, if you don't mind.
My goodness, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have almost 1,000. We have, but almost right at 1,000.
Okay.
Under the age of 4 attending in Clear Creek ISD, with about 92 at my last count, and I'm probably Alice, keep me straight here. Okay, Ms. Spence, sorry. So I think we're at 92 on tuition today, right now. So there is a need for the program for quality early childhood, and it is a great offering at the rates that we're looking forward to providing, and continue also having a slight, like a 10% staff discount on that pricing as well as part of our recruiting tool as we work with our staff members.
And going back too, I think as we look at elementary schools and capacity, I think, then you start looking at where could we expand and where do we have the room for that. And there could probably a lot of opportunities at that point, it's pilot, but we'd like to consider it next year, as a pilot for a full course, and then move forward and look at openings at the at the elementary level. Attract those students and keep them.
Any other questions?
Looking this over, I know there's just been an impressive amount of work done on this, and I'd like to thank everybody who has worked on it to bring it to this point. However, I really don't feel like all the pieces are in place. I mean, everyone talks about more, developing this as we go, and to a degree, that's absolutely necessary. I guess, this is the first time it's really come to me where I have to look at it as a board member and say yes or no. And in that context, I think what I really want to see as we move through additional development would be additional checkpoints as we go. And these could be, I'm not saying that we need to dredge this up again and keep giving votes of confidence every month or even every quarter, but I would really like to see a process in place where we can track progress in this and give either either tweak the direction or at least just give an additional vote of confidence at some interval, perhaps a year or so. And I think if that was in place, any reservation I would have about voting in favor of this tonight would disappear.
And we can
I don't
definitely.
think that's a problem.
Right, as a matter of fact, I mean, as we continue to go back and looking at the strategic plan, I mean, I think we've got to have fidelity and moving forward and providing that to the board. So I would really think that we would, that's not even a question for me. I think we have to, and provide that update and that feedback. We can decide what are those intervals, and possibly too, there will be some conversation after the Facility Advisory Committee has some, there'll probably be some more decision-making at that point too. And that will be in August, July.
I know we agreed to have some updates on the facility advisory. I would say, you know, maybe we can look at quarterly update or even a biannual update, but maybe quarterly would be good in terms of the progress of our Vision 2030 plan, so.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Any other comment? Let's see, seeing no further comment, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Bowen?
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation to approve the CCISD Vision 2030 plan.
Thank you for the motion, Mr. Bowen. Do I
I'll
have a second?
that.
Thank you, Mr. Larson.
He had 2 seconds. Arturo almost got it.
Yeah, you quick on the draw. Seeing no further comment, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. And that motion carries. And we'll move on to item C. I was going to postpone this and move this to our legislative committee to have them take a look. Maybe tweak this to look more like our Galveston County Consortium, I think. If nobody has an objection to that, I don't think we have to vote on that. I think I can just move it to our legislative committee, so.
Well, Mr. President, it's on the agenda, but you can move something without objection, and if there is no objection, that gives the board's assent.
Okay, thank you. Are any objection? See no objection, we'll move it to legislative committee. And next we'll move on to, is it Mr. Palazzi? Going to give us the district-wide intruder detection audit.
All right. Good evening. I just wanted to update the board, and so we're all on the same page, is that we continue to have audits from the Texas School Safety Center and Region 4. Currently, we have 21 audits. We've been audited 21 times. We just had another audit, 2 audits this past week. They are ramping them up because as required by the state, they have to audit 70% of our school district by the end of the school year. Currently, we need 31 more, we need 11 more audits to reach that 70% plateau. So we're almost there. We've gotten great feedback from Region 4. They've commended us on our protocols and our people. A lot of the feedback has with the attention to detail of our people, of the obvious concerted effort our school district has made for school safety, in addition to some of the hardening that we've done. But they said they notice the people that have been put in place and the efforts that have been done. I presented in closed session as part of the requirement of Texas School Safety Center to report in closed session to the board on certain findings. We've done that. So we're meeting all the requirements. We're expecting audits every week. The one thing I will say is, I speak to the principals regularly. We're not changing anything we do. We welcome the audits. We welcome the feedback from them. If something were to be discovered that we need to address, we address it. An example, a school, there was something to do with the school. A work order was placed that moment. So we're not changing anything we do. We ask the teachers and the students and the staff to be vigilant with what we do have in place. And we've gotten great feedback from the Texas School Safety Center and Region 4 on the actions and protocols we do have in place. If there's any questions about the audits themselves or the process that we go through, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
I'll open it up for any questions or comments.
I've got just a couple comments. When you came to us with the results of the very first audit that was held some time ago, my thoughts on the findings were, and I think some people will see where I'm coming from when I use this word, although it is a somewhat loaded word. I found them somewhat cheesy in the sense that they were finding things that really weren't things that fell within the scope, I think, of a proper audit, and was really not addressing what we're all trying to prevent here. This last time, and of course I can't go into the details, but I get the impression that the auditors have stepped up their game considerably, and they're very sneaky and devious about how they get into our schools. And I don't see that as a bad thing. You want your Tiger team to be tough. Iron sharpens iron. And I am very pleased with the response that we've given to that tough audit. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think I would characterize what they are doing as probably more sophisticated than a real life attack would probably be. Again, that's a good thing. The 9/11 hijackers were very cunning and sophisticated. So it's good that we're going up against good adversaries, and it's good that we're responding the way we are.
Thank you.
Mr. Bone?
Yeah, I'll just kind of echo that. The way the audit was described to me and the findings that came from it, and there were not very many, but I'm always suspicious of an audit that has no findings. Because if they came and told us we were doing everything perfectly, then I would not trust that it was a thorough audit. But these audits are very thorough, and their findings are things that I think the district has been enthusiastic and quick about improving, not just at the school where the finding occurred, but across the board. And that's really one of the biggest things that has come from this is I think the old model was that every school takes care of it on their own. And the model we're operating under is that when one school learns something and when one school finds a way to do something differently, the first question we ask is how do we get this out to everybody? And the department has been very quick about doing that. So this entire process and everything that we're being required to do and doing on our own gives me a lot of confidence about the security of our schools. And so big kudos to your team for making that happen, and also to the principals and everyone else on the schools who are being so responsive and making sure these changes get implemented.
Thank you. I'm glad you did say that as well, is because in everything we do in this district, best practice is best practice, and we don't want to keep anything secretive among our team, and we have a large team. I mean, our teachers, our staff. So when we do find something, it's not just fix it there. It's, okay, is this something we can institute everywhere? And the principals are great, are willing to do whatever we need them to do, and we have our team and our district has a great communication and collaboration between each other. But I'm glad you said that it's best practice and what we can do, which is best practice for everybody.
And I just wanted to echo what my fellow trustees expressed. I think I've told you before, please, as you go around and interact with our staff, let them know that we appreciate. I know a lot of times when people are looking at your campus or trying to penetrate your campus, the tendency is to be a little defensive, constructive criticism, as they say, but, from the incidents that you relayed to us, I can tell the sincerity and the seriousness that our staff takes in terms of, thinking, okay, how can I make this better? Or how can I, revamp my process? Things of that nature that is unique. And from that, we're seeing some best practices in terms of color coding of badges and other things that I think we can implement, throughout our district, that some of the administration has already taken it upon themselves to implement on their campuses. So please be sure to thank staff for, going through this process. I know a lot of times the auditors are coming by when it's homecoming. They're coming by when, it's an event going on, but that just makes us better because I don't think we've thought about those things, but you tend to look at those things as, today's going to be a good day. And you have to kind of step back and look at it as, okay, if somebody wanted to do harm, how do we make this better and how do we, change this process? So please thank staff for, what they're doing.
Yes, sir.
And so echoing everybody else and the praise and everything, given what happened today in Nashville, that 6 lives were lost, at a private school and 3 students, 3 staff members, it sounds like it was a side door, that they got in. And, we've got 40,000 students, 5,000 employees, and a lot of people and the SLO officers, all of us, that we have to be a cohesive, mindful group to work together to make these things possible. And yes, the things that were found seem like they're trivial here or there, but you always have to be on the offensive, just prepared for anything that could happen. Doors that you would expect would just be locked because they look shut and you find out that they aren't, or whatever the case may be. Everybody plays a role in keeping the kids and the faculty and everybody safe in this district. So great job. Keep it up. Don't ever let your guard down. And we appreciate all that y'all have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments? And seeing no further comment or no further business before the board, I will adjourn us at 9:05.